Welcome to the Historica Avenue channel. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most important events in world history, World War I. This war took place in 1914 to 1918 and involved many countries in Europe and around the world. But what caused this war to happen? Let's find out. Background. At the beginning of the 20th century, the world was dominated by major European countries engaged in a power struggle. World War I occurred when Europe was experiencing a period of prosperity and rapid economic growth. However, behind this prosperity, there were many tensions and rivalries between European countries. Countries such as Britain, France, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy were vying for influence and power in Europe. This rivalry is not only limited to territory, but also includes industry, military, and diplomatic alliances. Overall, the geopolitical situation was quite tense, with major powers building up their military strength and expanding their territories. In addition, many countries also sought to colonize territories outside of Europe, such as in Africa and Asia, further exacerbating tensions. The immediate cause: the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Although tensions in Europe had been simmering for a long time, the immediate cause of the outbreak of World War I was an incident that occurred on June 28, 1914. In Sarajevo, Bosnia, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, was assassinated by a Serbian nationalist, Gavrilo Princip. This assassination set off a rapid chain of events which eventually forced the major European countries to engage in war. Austria-Hungary, with the support of Germany, immediately accused Serbia of being responsible for the assassination and delivered a severe ultimatum. Factors that led to tensions. Franz Ferdinand's assassination was just the trigger, but several other factors existed long before that. One was Europe's complex alliance system. Since the late 19th century, European countries formed military alliances to protect their interests. Two main blocs were formed: the Allied powers, consisting of France, Russia, and Britain, and the Central Powers, led by Germany and Austria-Hungary. Tensions increased due to military and industrial rivalries. Countries like Germany began to strengthen their fleet of warships, while Britain felt threatened and increased their defense budget. This created an arms race that added to the tension between the countries. In addition, high levels of nationalism in regions such as Serbia, Italy, and Germany fueled tensions. Many ethnic groups felt oppressed by the power of the big powers, and this fueled conflicts across Europe. Diplomatic crisis and escalation. After the assassination of Franz Ferdinand, Austria-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia, which contained very harsh demands. Serbia, while willing to fulfill most of the demands, rejected some points that were seen as undermining their sovereignty. This set the stage for a rapid escalation. Russia, as Serbia's ally, began mobilizing its troops to protect its neighbor. This triggered troop mobilization from Germany and Austria-Hungary. Diplomacy failed to ease tensions. Preformed alliances exacerbated the situation, as each country felt compelled to defend its allies, even if they did not want to be directly involved in the conflict. World War I breaks out. On August 1, 1914, Germany declared war on Russia, and within a short period of time, almost all of Europe was caught up in a major conflict. Germany then attacked France through Belgium, which forced Britain to enter the war on August 4, 1914. For 4 years, the fighting was brutal. Trench warfare, the use of chemical weapons, and new warfare technologies took a heavy toll. Europe was almost destroyed by the mighty forces of war. The impact of World War I. World War I drastically changed the political map of the world. The Russian, German, Austro-Hungarian, and Ottoman empires collapsed, while new states emerged in Eastern Europe and the Middle East. The war also brought about major social, economic, and technological changes. The economic impact of the war was huge, with many countries suffering heavy losses. For example, France and Germany suffered extensive damage to their infrastructure, and many European countries had to go into debt to finance the war. World War I had a huge and far-reaching impact on the world. The severe damage to infrastructure, including roads, bridges, buildings, and cities, was one of the most visible impacts. Many towns and villages were destroyed, and their inhabitants lost their homes and sources of income. In addition, World War I also caused massive deaths and injuries. More than 37 million people died, including 17 million soldiers and 20 million civilians. Many people lost family members, and those who survived had to deal with enormous trauma and stress. World War I also caused massive refugees. More than 10 million people lost their homes and shelter, and they had to find a safe place to live. Many people were forced to leave their home countries and seek refuge in other countries. The economic impact of World War I was also huge. Inflation, unemployment, and food shortages were some of the problems faced by many countries. Many people lost their jobs and sources of income, and they had to face enormous economic hardships. World War I also caused a change in the world map. Some countries lost territory, and others gained new territory. The war also led to the rise of totalitarianism, with some countries like Germany, Italy, and the Soviet Union becoming totalitarian states. World War I also had a huge psychological impact. Many people experienced enormous trauma, stress, and anxiety. The war also caused social changes, including changes in the role of women, changes in education, and changes in culture. In the long run, World War I also led to World War II. Some countries, such as Germany and Italy, were dissatisfied with the outcome of the previous war, and they sought an opportunity for revenge. World War II is one of the most important events in world history, and its effects are still felt today. Overall, World War I had a huge and far-reaching impact on the world. It caused infrastructure damage, death and injury, refugees, economic impact, changes to the world map, the rise of totalitarianism, and enormous psychological impact. It also led to social change in World War II, and its effects are still felt today. Conclusion. So, why did World War I happen? Long-standing tensions between the major powers, coupled with a system of mutually binding alliances, high nationalism, an arms race, and an unresolved diplomatic crisis all contributed to the outbreak of this war. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was just the trigger that accelerated the process. World War I taught us a lot about the importance of diplomacy, peace, and managing international tensions. While this conflict changed the world, the lessons we learned can help us prevent similar tragedies from happening again. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to click the like, subscribe, and share buttons.